Hello everyone, welcome to SETTalk number 7, and I'm Lee, one of the counselor from SET Education. So we are the consultant agency providing the agency service for the student from study application, visa application, and also for the PR pathways. If you need anything, please just inbox us or contact our hotlines. We will try our best to support you. So our topic for SETTalk today will be very interesting, and I'm sure it will provide a lot of useful information for the student, and it's about the education. And I know many of the students really want to study this course. So first, let's welcome our guests today. So we have Ms. James and from RMIT University, and Ms. Simon, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So Jane and Simone, would you like to introduce a little bit about yourself?
Jane,
okay. Yeah. So hello everyone. Some of you may know me already. Some of you are meeting for the first time. I'm Jane and I work in the global student recruitment team, here to support your wonderful counsellors at SET Education with your journey, hopefully to RMIT. Simone?
Hi everyone. Great to be with you this afternoon. My name is Simone White. I am the Dean of Education at RMIT in our School of Education. And it's my pleasure to talk to you about the wonderful career of being a teacher, which is something I've been for more than 30 years. So yes, very keen to share with you about our education courses and answer any of your questions. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, Jane, Simon, would you like to share some interesting facts about RMIT, like any interesting about RMIT that our students should know about?
All right. So I'm not sure that you were. So RMIT is based in Melbourne. Some of you are dialing in from Vietnam, of which we also have a campus. We have 3 campuses here in Melbourne. Education is taught both at our city campus and out at Bundoora. And of course, you will have access either campus to some fabulous facilities to be able to get a truly hands-on interactive education experience as part of your studies. Currently, RMIT is sitting at #1 in Australia for graduate employment outcomes. So obviously we're doing everything that we possibly can to best prepare you for your future. If that's here in Australia, upon completing your studies, or back home, we will be here to support you. Simone, we'll talk a little bit about the School of Education.
Yeah.
Yes, as Jane said, we have beautiful and different and diverse campuses. So we have our city campus right in the heart of the Melbourne city in the CBD. So we have some of our programs there. And we have our other programs, our undergraduate programs at our Bundoora campus, which is a little bit more on the outer suburbs of Melbourne in the northern corridor, but it's beautiful, green, gum trees, a beautiful lake, a really rich Indigenous history. So no matter where you study at RMIT, they're wonderful places to learn.
Yeah, that is very good to hear that RMIT is located in the centers of the cities, and also you have the good facility with the modern technologies that can support students at us. So we can begin our topic today about education. So Simon, would you like to share on the slide about the course?
Sure, I will. I will get my slide up in a moment, but I just thought I'd start while I'm doing that. I want to do a little activity to get people thinking about their favorite teacher. So someone that has really made a difference in their lives. For us here in Australia, we celebrate World Teachers' Day on the 28th of October, so not too far away. So while I'm getting myself ready, just want you to be thinking about what is it that has inspired you from one of the teachers you've had experience with. And I'll just get the PowerPoint up now while people are thinking.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully it shares. Okay, so Jane and Lee, can you see my presentation?
Yeah, very clear.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to go to slideshow, hopefully. Okay, so while you were thinking about an inspirational teacher, often it's been somebody who's inspired you, someone who's helped you with a subject that you might have struggled with, someone who was a really good listener, or helped you understand a concept that you might have struggled with. Teachers are very powerful influences in our lives, and I think teaching is one of the best careers in the world. And having a qualification as a teacher is a qualification that gives you lots of opportunities and employment options. As Jane said, we are very proud of the fact that we are #1 for employability. And that's because of our strong partnerships with schools and other industry partners as well. So when you have an education qualification in your hand, you can travel the world, and over your life, at different stages of your life, your qualification can be used when you might want to go part-time, or you might want to use an education qualification to go into a business, education business type opportunity. So it's a really, it's a great foundational degree. So I'm going to share with you some slides. I do want to acknowledge that we are on Indigenous land, or country as they call it here in Australia, and to pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. And where I am, it's the lands of the people of the Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin nations. And I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And we are really trying in our education degree is to acknowledge a diversity of learning styles and approaches. And so we're following that commitment to reconciliation. So Lee asked about, what's unique about RMIT, the School of Education. We're really trying to support people to be creative. We want creative teachers, people who can use a lot of their drama, dance, art, design, technology in their teaching to make it really exciting for students. Very inclusive. We welcome diverse learners, impactful, that make a difference in people's lives, and obviously tech savvy. So these are the foundations for our School of Education, the ways in which we prepare our teachers. So why study with us? Here are some things that might interest you. Renowned in the world. We're still a young university. We're not one of the older universities, but we have substantive experience. We like to pride ourselves on small classes, on what we call personalized learning. We have a beautiful state-of-the-art School of Education building with brand new facilities. It was just finished just before COVID commenced. And so for the last 2 years, it hasn't really been used, but now everybody's starting to come back and using all the beautiful resources and the technology. We're very well known for our partnerships with our schools. And as I said, we're #1 graduate employment rating in Australia, which we're very proud of. A little bit about our research, because our research is important to our teaching in terms of research-informed teaching. And these are some of the areas that our staff, so if you come to us, our staff have particular expertise in. Creativity, that's one of our big areas. So we have leading experts in that space. Inclusive education, as I said. A lot of our staff in the areas of STEM and the learning sciences. Climate change and sustainability is a very big area. And the one that I'm a part of, and another area of the staff are working on, is learning across the lifespan. That's the one I belong to. But all of our staff are leading experts in different areas, but that gives you a capture of what our passions are when we're teaching you as well. We do actually have a creative agency research lab that is internationally known. And I thought that might be something to share with you as well. It's quite unique. And again, it's a feature of the ways in which we prepare our graduates to be creative makers, scientists, technologists. It's something that we really have in our DNA. Okay, so teaching in Australia. We have all types of different degrees to prepare you for all the different stages of learning. So you might be wanting to work with the little ones, the little early childhood from 0 to usually about 5 years old, and we call that early childhood, or primary school, which we call between 5 years old and 12 years old. I'm primary school background myself, or high school. So you've got like 12-year-old, 13-year-olds to 18-year-olds if it looks at post-compulsory schooling. So early childhood, primary and secondary. And of course, if you're an early childhood teacher, you're working with young children. In fact, some people say that early childhood are the most important teachers because you're really helping and supporting brain development and social awareness and social connections. Primary school, if you love doing everything, I did, then you would like to be a primary school teacher, because primary school teachers get to do maths, science, English, dance, drama, art, sport, everything. That's a generalist. But if you like to be a secondary teacher, normally you like to have a couple of subjects you really love, like maths, or you really love science, or you really love English, or you really love physical education. So if you want to be secondary, it's more that you love a particular subject. So the choice is yours. We offer all of those.
Simon, so among the 3 courses, is early childhood is the most popular one?
Sorry, Lee, I didn't catch that.
So I just want to ask that among the early childhood education, primary and secondary, is early childhood is the most popular course in your uni?
They're all really popular. We do have a very popular 1-year graduate certificate in early childhood. So there is one in particular that is very popular. But all our degrees are popular for different reasons, depending on what people are looking for as part of their ongoing learning. So we have, this is our suite here, so you can see all the different types of programs we offer. A Bachelor of Education, all universities must prepare teachers for, it's for 4-year degree for a bachelor. So that's if you have no other degree, you come in and you study for 4 years and become, to become a teacher. We have a Bachelor of Health and Physical Education and Sports Secondary, if you're really keen on that area. As I was just saying to Lee, our Graduate Diploma of Early Childhood is a 1-year degree. It's very popular to help you to move into early childhood. If you already have a degree, like, for example, a Bachelor of Art or a Bachelor of Science, you come in and you do a Master of Teaching, and that's a 2-year degree. And you can do it in either primary or you can do it in secondary. And we have another really cool little degree. This is for people who might be thinking about how do you help people in their careers. And we have a graduate certificate for people who are going to be career educators. So in many of our schools, we have people who help other young people. What career would you like to be in? But also we have career advisors in universities and in other places as well. So that's our suite of different programs. So what I'm going to do now, Lee, if it's okay, I'll try and show each one and give people a bit of a taste quickly, because I've got a lot of slides and I know that it can be a little bit much. I'll go through all the different programs, and then I can come back and answer any questions. So, so as I said, does that okay? Okay.
Yeah, that's all okay. Thank you, Simon.
Great. So this is the Bachelor of Education, and it's a 4-year degree for people who haven't got any other undergraduate qualification. When you come to us, you can specialise. That means like you can focus on a particular area. Straight primary, or if you would like to, you can focus on disability and inclusion, maybe working with in a special learning atmosphere or environment for students who might have a disability. So that's a stream you can choose. Early childhood, so you can be early childhood and primary, You can put them both together and be both. So you can go from 0 all the way to year or 12 years old. And you could also specialise in physical education if you like that. So you choose which one you like to focus on. Obviously, you have your normal classes, but throughout your 4 years, you have 80 days, and that's mandated by the Australian government, 80 days of professional experience. Now, what does that look like? So when you first start your very first year, we might put you in a school that's close to home. We don't send you too far away. And you might start off with just being in a classroom, watching the teacher, helping them with sort of activities, and you might take a very small class by yourself. So it's very gentle. Then in your second year, you start to develop a lesson and you start to teach yourself. So you start to take control of the class. By your third and your fourth year, you start taking half a day all the way to being able to take full day control of the class with the teacher there in the classroom, of course, mentoring you, supporting you. So throughout your whole of your professional experience, we give you support, guidance, mentoring, and you get lots and lots of practice as well. So that's what it looks like. These are some of the admission requirements. So there are a couple of different types of tests. That's not unique to RMIT, that's everywhere. All universities have these. We have like a benchmark for coming into the degrees, and we have some requirements around your literacy and your numeracy, and also your IELTS as well. So the bottom dot there, and Lee was telling me before when we were catching up that you might have questions about the CASPER test. I'll answer that now if that's okay, Lee. I'll talk a little bit about CASPER.
Yeah, please. Yeah, a lot of students will want to know about CASPER test. They are too worried about that because they're afraid if they do the wrong questions, they will not pass the exam and they will not admit to the course.
Yeah, people shouldn't be afraid of the CASPER test. It's what we call a non-cognate test. So it's not testing your skill or knowledge in a particular subject. It's trying to see, do you have the right fit or personality for teaching? So for example, teaching is very much a social career. You sort of have to like working with people. It's not a job you can do by yourself, if you know what I mean. You've got to get on with children and parents and other colleagues, and you need to be able to work with people. So if you don't like working with people, then teaching is not for you. And I suppose the CASPER test helps you think about that. Is teaching a good fit for you? So you might get asked questions like, how would you solve a challenge when you're working in a small group and one person isn't participating in the group? How would you respond to that? So it's more a way for you to respond. There's no wrong answer. There is no wrong answer. It's more your views on how you would deal with a challenging, sort of environment that could be potentially conflict or not. How would you deal with conflict? In what sort of way? So the questions are more just to guide you to see if teaching is a really good fit for you. And there are practice questions that you can, trial. I haven't been able to get the website, but I will follow up, Lee, and make sure that everybody gets to see that, because you can just practice and you can see if, you shouldn't be scared then because of them.
So just to sum up, the CASPER test will kind of answering question to check your personality and your characteristics to see if you suit with the position of the teachers in early childhood or in primary or in secondary education. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so there will be no right and wrong questions. They just evaluate if you are a good teacher in the future or not.
Yeah, just to sort of test your suitability. And and it's really no wrong answers. It's just what you feel or what you think, and you give your best response. I was sort of joking before when I was talking to Lee You know, they might say, well, why do you want to be a teacher? And if you said like, oh, I think there's really good school holidays and that's, you know, that's for me, then that's telling that, you know, maybe you're not choosing to the right reason. You know, if you're just choosing it for the school holidays, then that's not a good reason to be a teacher. So it's trying to sort of get people to understand that, yeah, teaching is a social career. It has important requirements. So, yeah, that's what the Casper test is all about.
Yeah, so that you have to be love to working with children and have passion for teaching and sharing your experience and guiding the little ones to become a good person, that kind of thing.
That's right.
If you have that characteristic, then you will become the good teachers and will pass the test for sure. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's the way you should think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to think positive, students, so you don't have to worry about a Casper test. It's just a simple test and you will pass it if you will have the passion for teaching.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And to show like you're enthusiastic, you know, like, so I think you get a chance to sort of like what we're doing, you know, be filmed and, you know, to show that you're really excited, you know, with, hey, I really would love to be a teacher and I've got a lot to learn, but I really would like to work with children. I'm really passionate about, you know, science or whatever topic it is. So you get a chance to show yourself and how you would think about being a teacher. So that's really what the Casper test is. But it shouldn't be scary. It should be a good opportunity for you to share about yourself. So I'll just quickly share these are the pathways I was telling you. So this is the same 4-year degree, but this one is the focus with health, physical education and sport. We are noticing more and more in Australia in particular that there are teachers being employed specifically for health and well-being. Obviously, COVID has created a sense for many of our students of mental anxiety and stress. And so there are more and more teachers being employed to support children and young people in their mental health and their well-being. So health and physical education and sport is an area that focuses on that. Again, the same 80 days, the same or similar requirements there. So again, a benchmark of your ATAR, literacy and numeracy, and the IELTS and the Casper. So very similar. Okay, so this one is the 1-year full-time study that I was telling you about that's very popular. It is a postgraduate, so it's not an undergraduate degree. But it is very popular. And at the moment, I was saying to Lee as well, we actually have a teacher shortage right across the board in Australia. Early childhood, primary and secondary, big teacher shortage. The Australian government is really looking at incentivising for people who want to come and be a teacher, and they're providing even extra incentives for people who want to be an early childhood teacher. So this is a very popular course or program. It's 1 year full-time, face-to-face, and you're placed, I think it might be quite a lot of days in a professional experience with early childhood settings. So this one is quite popular because of the specific need at the moment. These are the requirements. So a little bit different here. No Casper test for this one. You have to have completed an Australian bachelor degree or equivalent in any discipline, and then you can come straight in. So this one is one to think about if that's of interest for people. This is for people who have already got a degree as well, who are going to come and study and do primary and or secondary. 2-year degree, 60 days rather than 80 because it's smaller time. This is for primary, as I said, you'll be a generalist. These are the admission requirements. Because it's postgrads, different requirements, no ATAR, etc. Still an IELTS and no Casper test. And this is for the secondary. This is if you're focusing more on your subjects that you love. 60 days the same, and these are the admission requirements. and we look at your previous degree to decide what your majors would be. So if you have a degree in science, then you're most probably going to have a major in, you know, biology or chemistry or physics or one of those sorts of areas. So that's that. This is the one I was telling you about, that if you want to be a career advisor or a career educator, again, it's postgraduate, so you've already got a degree, but you can, again, a one-year program. This one is fully online. The early childhood one was face-to-face. This one is fully online. And this is what you learn: practices in career design, narrative approaches for career counselling, things like this. It's very cool. And these are your admission requirements. So a bit different to the others because it's not quite the same qualification, like a teaching qualification, a bit different. Okay, so I was telling you earlier about your professional experience. That's really important. We have great links with schools and early childhood settings. You can also do experiences with some of our partners. So we have a very good partner, ACME, and they are a sort of a literacy association, I suppose, a big gallery, and our students can be part of that as well. We have different professional experience in different states and territories as well, so it doesn't always have to be here in Victoria. So that's professional experience. And I think this is almost at the end. I hope I've gone okay with timing. And this provides just some different students who give you some comments there for you to read about their experience at RMIT.
Yep.
I think I'm near the end. I am. So hopefully that helped. Now, should I stop sharing my screen? I think I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, so that's a lot of useful information. I just want to have some questions about the course structures. Like, do you have a lot of many students will read us? They have to do kind of a lot of assignment, like tests or exam when they enroll in the Bachelor of Education. Do you have any ideas that how about the workload for the assignment and exam?
Yeah, sure. So for each of so say our 4-year degree, so in every year, you have 4 courses per semester. So 4 courses in semester 1, 4 courses in semester 2. So you might be studying in your first semester something like welcome to teaching. You know, you'll be starting to learn about education policy. You might be learning about curriculum, things like that. You might be learning about Indigenous studies. So you'll be learning about our First Nations people, the culture, language. You might also be studying an introduction to literacy. So learning about children's books and how to help children to learn to read. And you might also be learning about numeracy. So how to help children with mathematical concepts and number. So each of the 4 courses have a different topic and you learn them like that. Each course normally has 2 to 3 assignments. It might be an essay, it might be a group work presentation, it might be a lesson activity that you practice. We don't have exams in our program. Sometimes we might have a little pop quiz or a little test, but we don't necessarily have an exam in our program. So we usually spread our assignments out over, you know, couple of weeks in the middle and towards the end, and our courses are graded, of course, you know, so you can get a high distinction, credit, pass, or you can fail, but normally you get an indication that you are not on the right track in your first assignment, and then you can talk to your lecturer and get advice and support. And there's other types of support at the university that Jane might be able to talk about a bit more beyond just, you know, within our school.
Yeah, so it's kind of good to hear that you don't have the exam. So actually, I myself don't really like to sitting in the exam. It's kind of pressures, and you have to put a lot of work just to finish your exam without waiting for a long time just to know the result. So kind of release for the student if they don't have to do the exam. Work group is okay, thesis is okay. You will pass it all. Yeah, and I think that many students will want to know that about the scholarship. Do you have any special scholarship for this course?
Yeah, Jane's going to answer that one, I think.
Let's try that again, shall we? Sorry about that. I was just saying, obviously, any investment in education takes, a big commitment, both financially and in a commitment of your time. The university recognises that and offers a range of different scholarships to support students, as well as to acknowledge their academic excellence. So for students that are located in Southeast Asia, so our Vietnamese based students, as well as those students that are here already in Australia, we do offer a range of small bursaries to recognise your achievement, as well as to support financially for the first semester's tuition. Unfortunately, we don't offer a full or partial scholarships to this particular group of students, but there are those small bursaries available around about $5,000. So if you head to our website, and I'll type it in the chat, or Google RMIT scholarships, you'll be able to search for those, as well as find out how to apply. Generally, you need to have received an offer from the university before submitting an application, but the application is very straightforward. It's simply an expression of interest that comes through to our scholarships team, and we will be able to let you know if you're successful. So I highly encourage you to submit an application for scholarship. You never know your luck, and it will help to support you financially in your first semester. But as I mentioned, unfortunately, we don't have these big scholarships on offer, even if you are super duper, but there are scholarships available for you, and I'll type the website in on the chat now.
Yeah, so as you said, do you have any special requirement for the GPA or the other score for the student to receive the scholarship, or they just need to write the statement and apply for the scholarship?
So it's based on two things. So we do look in one part their academic achievement. So sometimes there is a cutoff of which we will accept, but we also look quite towards a student's personal development or contribution in lots of different aspects. So if they've have lots of social engagement, or if they've been active in their community, or they've been involved in lots of different things, if they're just a really great ambassador, then these are all things that are really good. So they don't necessarily have to be A-star students. We do ask that the students write a personal statement just explaining why they should be able to receive the scholarship and what makes them a great ambassador for the university should they be successful.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And one of the students is asking about the Langtai test, the literacy and numeracy test. Do they have to do it at the end of the course or during the course? And do you have any advice or practice for the student to take this test?
Yeah, I'll answer that one.
Yeah.
So the Langtai test is something the Australian government introduced a couple of years ago now, and it's compulsory for all students at whichever university that you do your studies at in education. It is again a bit like the CASPA, is more about your right fit for teaching. Literacy and numeracy is just to be able to help, have that benchmark and standards for any teacher when they're teaching literacy and numeracy. So you shouldn't be afraid of it. It's we encourage people to do it at the beginning of their course rather than waiting towards the end. Students can do up to 4, do it 4 times if they don't fail. I think the 4th time they have to have special permission from someone like myself as the dean to say yes, they can sit their 4th test. We usually we provide a lot of support for doing the test. We encourage people to do the first test in the first year. Then you know, did you pass? Hooray. If you didn't pass, okay, that's okay. You can get more support from the library, from different study skills, different support type people. Then you can do your 2nd test. Hopefully you pass, yay. If you don't, that's still okay. You can go and get more support, sometimes tutoring. You can do your 3rd test. Hopefully you pass. And then the 4th one is, I suppose that's the one that you think, okay, you know, and we want to try and make you do that in the beginning of your study rather than wait to the end where you're almost towards completion. But there's a lot of support. And so I just really want to get that message across, that there is a lot of support. Again, I know sometimes test makes people feel very anxious, you know, oh, it's a test. As you were saying, Lee, you know, an exam, oh my goodness. But we try and make people feel like, just think of it as like any usual thing that you're thinking about. It's a little hurdle, you jump that hurdle and you move on. So try not to get too anxious about it, because sometimes the anxiety is worse and makes you not do the test well. And having a more relaxed approach and knowing you've got support around you. I think they're the important things I'd like to share with everyone, Lee, that they shouldn't be hurdles for you to continue to be a great teacher.
So actually you have to pass the entire test to become a teacher in future. Is that correct?
Yes,
you have
everyone
has to do it.
Yeah, everyone has to do it. Everyone has to pass, no matter what university you study at. But you get 4 chances to do it and lots of support along the way.
Yeah, so the school will support your student to pass the entire test before they graduate from the school.
Yeah. We can't sit the test with you.
Yes.
But
like you will have the student to practice. Yeah. Yeah,
we can encourage you, provide tutoring, support, practice questions and things like that. So
yeah. I just want to know more about the internship. So actually the uni will will provide the internship for the student and like to assign the student to the school around the city, or they have to go to the regional to do their internship?
No, that's a good question, Lee. Some universities do make the students place themselves, but at RMIT we place the student to the school. So that's our job. Normally we have a placement team. Normally what they do is they look at where you live, your home, and they say, well, in a radius, you know, public transport, or if you're driving, you know, it might be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes from your home. We don't place you 2 hours away. We place you within a radius. We match you to a teacher who's a mentor teacher. Sometimes it happens that the mentor teacher and the student teacher are not a good match. We encourage the student to come and talk to us about that. And we can sometimes say, okay, that's not a good match. We put you in another environment. So it's very supportive again. And our teachers are mentors and they're prepared and trained to support the pre-service teachers.
Yeah. Thank you, Simon. So at the first, Simon, you introduced you are already the teachers for more than 40 years, right? So may I know what is your 30? So what is your passion to become for teachers for that really long time? And you can share with the students so that like to encourage them to study in this course.
Yeah, that's a good question. I suppose when I finished school, I was always thinking about, I really did love lots of things. I loved doing lots of things, you know, and I really didn't know what one thing will I do. And I think for me, when I chose primary school teaching, I got to do everything. And as I said, I got to do some dance and drama and art and science, and I loved all of those aspects. So for me anyway, primary school teaching was great. No day is the same. Every day is different with kids. You get to watch them learn. Like, how cool is it to help someone to learn a subject, you know, or make a difference in someone's life? And again, you know, I remember my question at the very beginning was to everybody, you know, think about an inspirational teacher, and that you become that person to someone else. And I have had some of my past students, you know, sometimes they see you on the street, or they know that you're working here or there, and they'll just reach out and say, oh, just want to say thank you again for making a difference in my life. You know, that one thing you said makes a difference.
Yeah, really nice to hear the student recognize you on the street and say, oh, this is my primary teacher.
That's right.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you already spent time to teach them to be that person today.
Yeah, it's a very rewarding career.
Yeah, I think so.
Sometimes it's challenging, you know, because it's a social career. You're dealing with people, but on the whole, it's a very rewarding. And throughout my life, I've had 2 children myself. I taught in a classroom. I did work in, I did start a sort of an education consultancy. I did teach pre-service teachers. So the qualification can take you to different types of jobs. And a lot of employers like people with an education qualification because you learn to be organised, well, you know, good planning skills, you've got good social skills, you know how to work in a team, you're creative, you can plan curriculum. So often different employers like someone who has an education degree.
Yeah, so actually it's not easy to become a teacher. It's like you have to go a long way from bachelor degree, and like you have to learn a lot of information to teach the student. But I think it's kind of rewarding the careers when you have the student recognize you and appreciate that you support them all the long way to their study. So I just want to know that most of students, when they think of education, they would think that when they graduate from the bachelor degree or graduate diploma, they will become the teacher only. Are there any job options that they will do after they graduate from the bachelor education, except from being a teacher?
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying. There's many people go into all sorts of different types of careers. As I said, I went into different types of careers myself. When I started my own business, like my own consultancy, that was an example of, I used my education qualification and my understanding of curriculum to then help others learn literacy, which was my area. So yes, many different skills and knowledge are developed as being a teacher, and then you can translate those into other careers. Yeah. Lee, I was just looking at the chat and I can see Jane is responding to lots of answers. There was one question from a young gentleman, a young man, and he was asking about choosing teaching. Teaching really needs, teaching, all our children need to see, they need to see diverse teachers. They really need to see male teachers, female teachers, teachers from different language backgrounds, teachers from different, you know, faith or different cultures, because the children need to see themselves in their teachers. So I really encourage, we want a diverse teaching workforce. And I think I really encourage everyone to really think about that too, because as they say, you can't be what you can't see. And we want to really have a diverse teaching workforce. So for all our students, don't be scared or worried. We really need passionate, committed teachers of all diversity.
There is a male student, they ask if they are suitable for being an early childhood teachers because they thought that.
I know that sometimes, look, we definitely need male teachers in our early childhood. We need good role models. We need of all, you know, as I said, all diversity. So yes, I would just encourage people to choose what they would like to do. And yeah, and early childhood, primary and secondary are all good choices.
Yeah. So there's a student asking about the package, if they can go from bachelor to master.
Yeah, I was, Jane, what was your response to that one?
Yeah, so it's not, we don't generally package these two programs up together because as a standalone qualification, be it the bachelor or the master, they're designed to provide what's required to get teacher registration in Australia. So you don't need to do both programs in order to do that. We do have career development teaching at the master's level, and of course we have research. So if you're really keen to do further education in education, then there are options available. But if you really want to get out into the classroom, then it really depends on your background. So if you're a school leaver, you've just done high school, then you would look to do a bachelor's degree and then go out into the workforce. If you've previously studied a bachelor's degree and wanting to be a teacher, then there is a qualification that may suit your needs at RMIT. It does depend on your background and the level of teaching that you're going into, in particular secondary teaching, because you need to have a specialization. Those areas of specialization must be drawn from your previous bachelor studies. So, for example, if you did literature in your Bachelor of Arts, then you could perhaps teach English as a secondary teacher, but there is criteria around that. So if you've got specific questions about becoming a secondary teacher and you're not sure about your previous studies, we do have quite a lot of information on our website, but I've put my details in the chat. You can get in contact with me, chat to your counsellor at SET. If it's anything that's beyond me, I can certainly chat with the school as well, so we can workshop it for you.
Yeah, so students also also have questions about the internship and placement, and when will the student do the placement during their studies, and and the support that the school or the uni will have for the student when doing the internship.
Yeah, with our professional experience, as I was saying, 80 days in total, but in your first year, you might do 10 days in the middle of the first semester and second semester. In your second year, you might do 15 days or 3 weeks. In your third year, you do 3 weeks. And in your fourth year, you do 4 weeks. So your placement is, you know, over a period of time with a sort of increase in the number of days and the increase in the responsibility that you have as a teacher. As I said at the beginning, you do some small group work, maybe supporting individual students, but by your final year, final practicum or placement, you are taking the class. So it's sort of like a developmental gradual. And then, as I said, Lee, we place the students so they don't have to worry about finding placements for themselves.
Yeah, so they will have the chance to do the internship throughout their 4 years of studying the bachelor degree.
Yes, and in the and in the Master of Teaching as well.
Yeah. So there's a question, a student asking about the Master by Research for the education. Do you have any course for the Master by Research specialized in education and teaching?
Yes, we do actually. I didn't share about that particular one, but yes, we do have a Master of Education by Research. I think the best, if they want to, they can write to me, and I will put them in touch with our higher by degree research contact person who'll send them all the information. But yes, we do have a Master of Education by Research, and people can enroll in that and focus on a research project in education.
So I just have a brief questions about a master by research. Is this the length will be the same as master by coursework, or it will take longer time? And the requirement is the same or different?
I think the requirement. I think I don't have it right on my fingertips, unfortunately. But I think I can make sure I get that. Sorry, Jane, I didn't have that one prepared.
What was the question? Sorry, I just missed that.
It was about a Master of Education. So we do have a Master of Education by research.
Yes.
And they were wanting to know about that degree, but I didn't prepare a presentation for that.
No, that's okay. Research can be a little bit more complicated in terms of the initial expression of interest through to the application, determining research topics and all those sorts of things. Probably a bit too much to go into now, but if you do have an inquiry about that, as I said, I'll put my email in the chat. I can take you through everything from looking at the projects that we currently have on offer through to pitching your own research proposals, through to how to go about getting in contact with a proposed supervisory team and all of the other bits in between. So just record my email address and get in touch. Otherwise, talk to your counsellor at SET, who can also get in touch with me. But yeah, it's a little bit more involved than a coursework application, but I'm happy to talk you through that.
Yeah. So there's another questions asking about the graduate diploma course. So they just want to know the entry requirement again for the course, like the IELTS or the CASPER test. Could you please
share? So I've just put in a little response in the chat. We don't require a CASPER test for the graduate certificate, but we do need evidence of English proficiency, and those are on our website. So they can sit for an IELTS test or another test that we accept. Depending on where they've studied, how long they've studied, if it was done in English, these are also considerations. So it's a good idea to have a look at the criteria that we have listed on our website. But if you've got specific questions about your specific circumstance, then again, get in contact with SET and we can go through that with you.
Yeah, a student who is currently studying the Bachelor of Architect, and she has the interest in the Bachelor of Education. So she just wants to know if she can change to Bachelor of Education and what requirement she should certify to enroll in the course.
What do you think, Jane?
Yeah, so I sort of tried to answer it in the chat as well. So as I was saying earlier, in terms of becoming a secondary teacher, you have a primary teaching area and a secondary teaching area. And these teaching areas are basically what you studied at the undergraduate level or in your bachelor's degree, if you are looking to go into the master program. If you don't have one of those specializations within your undergraduate study, then you may need to consider completing the bachelor degree in secondary education, because in that degree you do your majors within your teaching areas. You also do your teacher education to learn how to be an awesome teacher. Now, when it comes to architecture, we do have design courses that we teach in schools, but I recommend that you have a look at the individual discipline list, and that information is available on our website, just to calculate the subjects that you've done and see, in fact, if you've satisfied those requirements, because not all degrees are the same. Even if it is an architecture degree, you may have completed some other subjects within that. So first things first is to have a look at that information on our website. And then if it's not quite for you, or if perhaps you need a bit more information, that's a good point to reach out to me and we can go through that together.
Yeah. Just
one more question?
Yeah, the last one. The student wants to know if any chances to shorten the course duration.
Yes, there is actually. Yes, there is the answer. So for our Bachelor of Education, you can do it in 3.5 years. You can it's a bit squishy. You have to squish in 2 courses into what we call the breaks, you know, like a summer break and I think it's actually in the summer break. So for the Bachelor of Education, you can do 2 courses in like the holiday season. For the Master of Teaching, we just have just been successful with what they're calling a accelerated program, which is 18 months. So not 2 years, but 18 months. So people do have a choice. Again, it squeezes same course, but in a shorter period of time in the break time. So like summer holidays or the mid-semester break. So you've got a chance for that if that's what you want. It does mean that your study is very intense. So I always caution people when they're making decisions, it can look good on paper, but make sure that you're able to do it, because a lot of our students are trying to work and, you know, have lives and all those other things. So make sure you look after yourselves and choose the right pathway for you. I hope that's okay, Lee. We might need to just I have another meeting at 5 o'clock, I'm sorry to say.
Do you mind if I have the very, very last question?
Go for it.
Yeah, because it's kind of important. I think like they asked about the internship. Is it 80 days internship is the minimum requirement, or they are free to choose how many days of the internship that they want to do?
We have a mandated number of days, so that's compulsory, and that's 80 days for the Bachelor of Education and 60 days for the Master of Teaching. We can't change that, but often we can go more than that. So the 80 days and the 60 days are set. Everyone has to complete them. Okay. But often, I think in some of the, say, for example, the graduate diploma, we have more than 80 days. So sometimes we're able to increase, but not decrease.
Yeah. Okay, that's so good. There's a lot of questions coming up. I think it's very popular topic today, and there's a lot of useful information that provided from you and Jane. So thank you very much for your time. So for the student, if they still have questions, you can inbox to our fan page, or you can email to Ms. Jane or Simon just to share experience about the course. And you can call to our hotlines. We will try to answer you as soon as possible. So thank you very much for joining our SETTalk today, and see you in the SETTalk number 8 next week. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Simon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.